Hello to all the listeners there. I am your host Monsi Parazuli. This is my first podcast, Season 2 the podcast. In this show, I'll be bringing in people from around the globe and then discuss about the ideas that they have for the betterment of the society and all kinds of stops from which we can learn new things and, if possible, even implement them in our own lives. In some of the cases, I hope that some of you will reach out, to the speaker whom I bring into the show, and then exchange the ideas that they have and try to help them in any sort of ways. So today I'm bringing in Bikash Gupta, who is also my friend and who is a student at Ramapo College of New Jersey, USA. Most recently, he got selected for Clinton Global Initiative for his idea Saamal, which is basically a travel food idea, and then which in Nepali language means to eat while you travel. So I won't be going into the detail about the idea. I want you all to listen from him directly. So, Bikash, welcome to the very first episode of my podcast, Season 2, the podcast.
Thank you, Manaspi.
So can you introduce your idea to the audience, please? What is Saamal actually?
Yes, definitely. Saamal means in Nepali, it means eat while you travel. And the idea is basically about providing food to the travelers who travel from and to Kathmandu.
So when you say about travelers, is it air or via road? And then is it long route or short route? Can you just provide the exact detail that you are trying to cover?
So we are working on a ground transportation right now, and so we don't have a certain preference about which route we'll go. In the first phase, we are trying to go from we are picking up Sira to Kathmandu route. Sira is my hometown, and because of the geography and because Nepal is largely mountainous, any travel from Kathmandu to even a nearby district takes you a couple of hours. So we are doing will be later in our hopefully, if we expand, we'll be doing it in both short-term and long-term routes.
So basically, what is the idea about Saamal?
Saamal, we will be employing women for the full Saamal thing.
What is it that you are trying to do?
Okay.
What are you exactly hoping to achieve by implementing Saamal in Nepal?
So Saamal is about it's basically about job creation for women who at the present moment they have no skills other than cooking. And
so I get it that it's job creation for women, but exactly what is it? You haven't talked about it.
Okay. I mean, like I have talked about it. I'm like it's about providing food to the travelers.
So how are you going to do that? There are restaurants all in the roads when you travel from Sira to Kathmandu.
Yeah, there are restaurant hotels on the road, but they do not stop the food that actually a human can eat. There are certainly good restaurants, but most of them they charge you much than what you can afford. And then
aren't the prices depend on the number of customers who come into that area and then have food in the when they are traveling or some sort of that, because mostly I think there are places in Chitwan and Mugling where they serve foods. And then even when I used to travel from Kathmandu to Pokhara, most of the time the bus will stop in Mugling and then we used to have foods. So how different is it that so are you going to get some carriages or something like that, what do you call that, thela in Nepal, and then carry foods around?
So it is
Because you need to take into consideration the fact that it's going to be a bit expensive as well.
We have taken that into account, and we won't be charging as expensive as what restaurant hotels do in the way. We have thought of a lunchbox idea, so we will have an organic lunchbox in our place, or we are thinking of having a reusable plastic lunchbox. So we'll have a food on that, and we'll have a stall on every bus stop from where the buses leave. For example, in Sira, you have around 10 buses which leave every day to Kathmandu, and they leave.
So basically, you'll be distributing the foods at the bus stop.
Yeah.
Not in between the places from.
Not right now. We have not thought about having a stall in between somewhere in the way.
How are you
but
going
we'll
to
have one
challenge
in
the idea that there are people who will be bringing foods directly from their home with them while they are going to travel to their destination?
Yeah, I mean, like there are some of course there are people who bring foods, but these people are very less in number, and most of them do eat in the hotel and restaurant, and even more than that, people they do not eat, and like most of people they are more like urgent passengers, so they do not find time to cook in their homes. So, and I have faced that situation many times. Like we had to we had to book like emergency ticket, and then we had to go to Kathmandu. So in those situations, I'm like I and no one in my family eat in a hotel or restaurant while they are on their way to Kathmandu, because the food is I mean, like you can't eat that food, honestly speaking.
So and then isn't there a tendency among your place people, to not to buy foods at the bus stop, because most of the time they think that the foods that the vendors sell at these places, they tend not to be that healthy.
So what we are doing, what we are planning to do is to create a brand. We want to differentiate our product from the normal thelas and goods, the goods that are bought in thelas, and those that are sold in thelas, they're relatively cheaper, but they're again unhygienic and like substandard. So we will try to differentiate our product. We will we'll have a more like we'll employ women who can cook homely food, healthy food. So we will be working on many things that will help us differentiate our product.
So up to this moment, I've been hearing that you are saying often that we. Who exactly are we in this group?
We include me, and I have a couple of friends in Kathmandu right now.
So what are they doing right now?
We just did market research last week. We asked indirect questions to the travelers in Kalanki about how they think about prospect of having this sort of business.
Is it possible to share the results that you had in?
Yeah, well, we got a lopsided result, which means like most of the people say that they would entertain that idea. So we have a kind of a.
So isn't there any drawback?
As far, I'm like, of course, any business has a drawback, so we'll be working on them. But we are working for the first 5 hours of a journey, where in between the passengers usually feel hungry. So we are targeting that part.
So how are we going to implement that in Nepal? Because aren't you that concerned about the political hassles you have to go through while implementing it? Because there are a lot of legal things that come in your way, and then people it's somewhat people are more reluctant to implementing the new ideas or something like that. So how you're going to, have you thought about how you're going to deal with
Yeah,
these?
yeah. I mean, like we understand totally about the political condition of Nepal, and it can get worse, and it has gotten worse in the past 5 months or 6 months. So yeah, we are just waiting for everything to calm down.
So let's say that everything's calm down.
Then, like, yeah, of course, we'll have our competitor, which will be the traditional hotel and restaurant.
Okay.
So, yeah, it will be a kind of a competition, but in this age, they have to evolve. They just cannot continue selling their substandard food and play
Okay.
with the health of the customers.
I get it. So so right now,
Mhm.
are you doing anything, to invite the potential investors, for this idea? Have you talked to anyone who may be willing to, make some contribution or some type of donations for your, your idea, Saamal, to be realized?
I shared my idea. I shared my ideas with my professor, and the professor said my idea with his circles. So far the result. So far, many people have been interested and drawn to this idea. I'm going to Clinton Global Initiative, where I'll be pitching my idea to a group of social investors. I hope I get some investor to really put their money in my idea.
Okay, so so there may be some listeners here, who may be willing to, invest in your program, Saamal. So how are you going to convince them?
Okay, so I believe this this is a scalable and a sustainable business. You can expand it to as many routes as possible, and we are a group of 20-30 age students, and we are very excited to be the part of this, and we will do it in all our capacity to materialize this. We are the like youths who are much into technology, so we know how app and website can attract more customers. So we'll be doing all in our capacities and all our knowledge to make it a modern type of business.
So thank you, Bikash, for sharing your ideas in this podcast. I hope that bringing you here will prove to be a good omen for my future podcast. So there you have it. You heard from Bikash, and then his idea about, providing foods, healthy foods to the travelers who are going on a long route in Nepal. He plans to initiate his idea from his hometown and connect that to the capital city, Kathmandu, in Nepal. So if any of you audience there would like to, know more about this idea, you can directly contact him, or you can even, email me, and then I can reach out to him. So yeah, I'd like to thank you all for listening to the very first episode of my podcast. If you would like to leave any comments about the show and provide suggestions to improve future shows, please do so in the comment box below. Once again, thank you. I'll be coming with another episode next week. Sayonara.